tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome into Newhouse in the afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and Twitch at QSportsTalk.com. I'm James Wildhack here with Ellie Gelman. Well, it's been a busy week in sports. We had the 31st sports equinox in history earlier this week, and we got a lot to get into. We got a lot up here on the hill. Winter's coming, and that means Syracuse basketball's coming too. But first, we got to start on the gridiron. Syracuse traveled to Pitt, fell on the road to the number 19 team in the country, 41-13. A game that had a lot of hype for this program, and well, they were just flat.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of hype. I was really, coming into this game, I thought that SU was going to win. This is a 6-0 Pitt team. They came into the game undefeated, and I actually thought they were ranked a little bit too high. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity for Syracuse on the road to get another ranked win, and I was expecting them to win the game and then be ranked in the top 25, which was going to be great on campus here. But they, like you said, they just fell flat, and it's one of those games, it just kind of leaves you speechless, and is just domination from Pitt from start to end.
I think you talk about that speechlessness. I think that all started with Kyle McCord, who threw 5 picks on the day, 3 of those being pick sixes, still broke the Syracuse football program history with the 6th consecutive game throwing for 300 yards. But overall, it's not a day he's going to want to look back on.
Yeah, he said it was the worst game of football that he's ever played, which is saying a lot because he's played a lot of football, a lot of high-level football. But I think for him and for the whole team, this is a game, you look at the film, you learn from it, and then you kind of bury it. I don't think this game really tells you about the Syracuse football team. We're going to talk about the rest of the season, what that looks like for them. But you learn from it, you get better, and it's hard to see that there was positives from this game. But I actually think there were some things that Syracuse did really, really well, even though they got dominated here.
And you talk about the things they did really well, and we talked before the show, you mentioned defense. 3 pick sixes, that's 21 points. I believe they got a field goal off another pick, so that's 24 points right there. You take all those points off of turnovers away, this is a really close game, and that's thanks to the way the defense played. Yeah,
like you said, they scored 41 points, and only 17 of those came from their offense. They returned 3 interceptions for touchdowns, and the Syracuse defense held the Pitt playmakers in check. Desmond Reed only had season-low 47 yards on the ground, which was really encouraging for the Syracuse defense that has struggled early in the season. And you mentioned before the show that the Orange dominated the time of possession and total yards, actually. So I think that's something that the team itself and us fans can look forward to as the season goes on.
Yeah, you talk about that, and we talk about the way Kyle McCord plays. One of the things I was really confused about is, again, Pitt did a great job. That defensive line played a phenomenal game. Pat Narduzzi did a great job scheming up pressures to beat our line. But there were times kind of during it where McCord really would step back. He wouldn't try and move up in the pocket. He was really moving laterally, and he's a pocket passer. He's a guy you want him to step up and make a throw. That's what he's been doing all season. It was kind of confusing. It was like, what are you doing now? Why are we confused? Why are we moving laterally all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think it's hard early in the game when kind of your confidence is a little bit rocked, throwing interceptions early, especially when they get returned for touchdowns. And I think the most important thing for a quarterback is, or one of the most important, is trust in his offensive line. And early in the game, he's getting pressured, getting sacked almost every single possession. And then it's hard to trust the offensive line and feel comfortable in the pocket and throw strikes down the field. So I think that the focus for this next week and really the rest of the season needs to be improved offensive line play, which, the team only goes as far as Kyle McCord goes, and that really relies on the offensive line.
And you mentioned this team will really go as only far as Kyle McCord goes, but also a common theme throughout this year has been a lack of a run game for the Orange, and I think it's starting to become a little bit more prominent.
Yeah, I think that, we're going to talk about the Virginia Tech game in just a little bit. I think that's one of the things that they need to make sure that they get going early on in this game against Tech. And yeah, the offensive line was really disappointing in the run game. LaQuint Allen is arguably the best playmaker, one of the best playmakers on our roster here.
Really?
And for him to only have, I think it was 32 yards on the ground, that's not acceptable. We're not going to be able to win football games like that, and we're not going to be able to beat Pitt with only 32 yards from Allen. So they need to get him going. And we've seen this season, when he does get going, this team is dynamic and special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you watch that UNLV tape. I mean, we don't win that game without LaQuint Allen. And I still remember that 4th and 1 when he gets hit, you're like, oh, we just lost the game. And somehow he just has elite contact balance and stands up. I mean, how do you get him more involved? Is it the screen game? Is it draws? Is it scheme-wise? How do you want to see LaQuint Allen involved?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So it's tough because the teams are obviously scheming to stop him because he is LaQuint Allen. He's one of the best players on our team. But I think that it's something I remember Coach Fran Brown, he said in one of his press conferences that they just got to get, after UNLV, like the game plan for that matchup was just get LaQuint the ball. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what they have to do for the this Saturday and the rest of the season. They just got to get him the ball. So, run it with him. If that's not working, screen game. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. They have to scheme him into the offense and make him a focal point. And if he gets going, then it's easier for everyone else, and it's even easier for McCord.
And you mentioned this run game too. Syracuse lost there. Actually, we don't know if he's playing yet, but you see Willis had a pretty bad ankle sprain. Fran mentioned in the press conference on Monday that he's not the type of kid who's not going to play. So if he's out, it means he's really hurt. How are you going to scheme this if you don't even have a two-back system with LaQuint? This running game is really struggling right now. But also to the passing game, Arondé Gadsden had 3 catches for 33 yards. He left the game injured. Thankfully, he's going to play against Virginia Tech. Jackson Meeks did not have a good day. He was really struggling to get any separation.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's really hard to take anything from this game I had to take kind of with a grain of salt because everything went wrong for this Syracuse offense. And I think that the offense needs to focus on obviously the run game, which we spoke about, but also getting the playmakers on the outside involved. Jackson Meeks, obviously a transfer. This is kind of his breakout season. He didn't really play at all last year, and he's come to Syracuse and been the best, I would say, probably the best wide receiver we've had, him or Pena. I'm not sure who, but he's definitely been up there. And we know Gadsden, what he could do. He's an NFL prospect. He's going to be playing on Sundays, next season. So I think that when you get dominated like that, it's important to just go back to the basics, which are, we have dogs on this team. We have unbelievable playmakers. Yeah. We have to get them the ball. And I think Fran Brown knows it. I think we're going to see some great performances from our playmakers this week against Virginia Tech.
I think one of the things you see, too, as you talk about this roster, one of the reasons Fran Brown was bought in was because of his recruiting ability. And you got to see that, talent evaluation at the high school level and that recruiting ability on display. Emmanuel Ross, number 18, a wide receiver for Syracuse, is a freshman. He was a 4-star, then became a 3-star. All of a sudden, he committed to Syracuse. I guess that's how it works now. But he had 5 catches for 78 yards on the day. I mean, he's quick. He's 6'2". He's got a big frame. I think we're also going to see some younger guys get an opportunity to play. They've been in the system. They've bought in. And you know what? This is Fran's mentality is if you're not cutting it, you're not cutting it. We're going to have that next man up mentality, which I absolutely love from my head coach.
Yeah, and I think in all sports, I think, but especially in football, especially in college football, the rookies or freshmen or new recruits, it takes them a little while to get acclimated to a new sport. Really, it's so much more physical than high school football, but a new system, new coaches, everything like that. So you don't really see freshmen. It's very rare to see them take over a game early in a year. But as the season goes on, they get more comfortable. They become more comfortable in the scheme and in the team. They become playmakers, and Emmanuel Ross is a perfect example of that.
You talk about this team. A lot of CNY fans and a lot of people are just kind of hitting the panic button. It's over. Same old Syracuse. Just a new face. Where are you on the panic meter right now?
So, I think that before I answer that, we need to just think about this whole season. This one game does not define us.
Yeah, I agree.
We're 5-2 right now. Before the game, we were 5-1, and we came into this game feeling great. Yes, it was a donut, domination from the beginning. We want to forget it, drop the tape. But I think that there's still a lot to play for this year. We still have, 6 games left?
5 games.
And all, I think, winnable games. You know, an ACC championship is still in the cards.
Yeah, it's a long shot.
It's a long shot, but it's still in the cards. And you don't just give up on a season 7 games in. And I think that's why I love Fran Brown, because I think he knows that exactly. He's not giving up. He's keeping his head up. What's next? Keep your chin up. That type of mentality, and that's the mentality that I have for this team. I'm not giving up on them. I think they could finish with 8 to 10 wins, which would be a super successful season. Make a bowl game, potentially win the bowl game. And this is also a building year, so. Next year as the recruiting classes get stronger, it'll be better. But I'm not thinking of this season as a failure at all, and I'm not giving up on the Orange.
I absolutely agree with you, and we're going to look ahead to the rest of the season when we get back, because Syracuse has a date with Virginia Tech at noon this Saturday. We'll be back right after this.
All right.
Oh, Lights on the Lake. It's a good one. Good first segment. Good.
It was good?
Yeah, that was good.
Felt good.
Yeah, no, it felt good. Got one under the...
Yeah.
I will say, too, I was watching that game, and... Would you watch the game?
No, I couldn't watch.
Okay, so there was someone was just running, like an outpost, or not a post, like just like an out route, and Wax comes in, perfect pressure. Holston releases the ball. It's textbook, okay, like my momentum's already there. He lets his arms out. There's contact, but he can't control it at that point. And we get a pick. And I think it was still like the game was in reach at that point. It was like, okay, we just got them a pick. This is the momentum flip we need. And then I see a yellow flag, and I was like, oh, we lost the game. We just lost the game. And it was roughing the passer, and it was one of the most egregious roughing the passer calls I've ever seen in my life.
So I knew about the roughing the passer call. I didn't know it came with when we had an interception. Oh no, I have that in my notes here. But yeah, also a lot of those picks from McCord, they were in the guy's hands.
Yeah. They were tips. They're tips balls.
They're tipped, and Pitt made good play on them, but still, like, those could go either way.
It's tip drill.
Yeah.
It's, flip a coin in some ways. But I mean, it reminded me almost. We played Notre Dame 2012 after we lost. 2022 we lost. If anyone in the chat remembers this, let me know. We played Notre Dame. They were kind of struggling to start the year after we just lost to Clemson, a heartbreaker. We were still a top 20 team because we were 6-0 going into Clemson. Lost again on a very interesting roughing the passer call. Going to the Notre Dame game, we're like, okay, sold out dome. I mean, it was probably 75-25. The Irish travel very well. And Schrader drops back. He throws a slant over the middle, and it's a pick six. And you just feel the energy and just all that hope just sucked out of a building in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I
didn't think of that. I think it's important also this weekend that the dome's packed. Because the first game that we're back.
I'm sorry. It's 2 5-3 teams who were in the top of a conference, and it's a noon game on the CW. Really?
I didn't even know that. Wow.
It's on the CW.
Either way, the fans here, students, everyone need to make sure they come out. We need the dome packed, and because we can't have people giving up, being like, "Oh, we just got dominated by Pitt. I'm not going to go to the game."
That's the one thing
we need people showing up.
Sometimes is okay. We're 5-2. We're
5-2,
one win away from bowl eligibility.
Yeah, they gotta.
Yeah, I was there. We were down 14-0 before. Yeah, that was a. Did we go down 14? Because I swear Gadsden got a touchdown, and we were like, okay, it's okay.
Hardly any Q's fans went as well. Oof. So we got to make sure that does not happen this weekend against Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
We need the dome to be absolutely packed.
Well, Schrader got injured that game too, which it was.
Actually, now you said that, I think I remember. This was 2022.
Yeah, I mean it was just a house of horrors.
And then who's the backup quarterback then?
Carlos Del Rio Wilson.
Yes.
Carlos Del Rio Wilson.
Yes, I remember.
He's still our backup.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. So it went. The pick six was the first play of the game. You're right. And then it was the Gadsden touchdown, and then Notre Dame just ran away with it.
We never win the big games when it really matters. That's the culture, and the culture's changing. Fran Brown is culture changer. And this is a big game. Even though unranked opponent, it's a big game to see how the Orange, bounce back after getting killed. So
exactly.
I think they'll win it.
Yeah.
Or they'll definitely keep it.
It's what we said. It's culture. It's culture.
They'll keep it competitive.
Yeah, it's culture. Matt and Manlius, you're right, but this is when the change happens. In words, not actions. Exactly. So, my grandpa always says, "Where do you win the game? On the field."
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Point 1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back into Newhouse Afternoon on 97.7 and Twitch at QSportsTalk.com. I'm James Wildhack here with Ellie Gelman. Ellie, we were talking over the break about culture. Fran Brown came in here and said he wanted to implement that old Syracuse culture. And, after a really tough loss like this, you have Virginia Tech, who's a good team in the ACC. They had some losses early in the year. One of them was to Vanderbilt, who we found out was a pretty good team, actually. This is a culture-defining win, and this is really an opportunity for Syracuse to say, no, it's not the same old, same old. This is a new brand. We're going to bounce back.
Yeah, so the past couple of seasons, Syracuse has had a history of late season collapses.
Yep.
Starting off really well, starting off the season, 6-0, and then, not winning another game for the rest of the year. And I've heard some people talk that, is this going to be another late season collapse for the Orange? And I don't think it will be, and I think we owe it to Fran Brown. It's because of him where that the culture is changing. He's brought in the culture as a recruiter and as a coach, as a head coach with great time management and just as the game goes on, managing it really well. But then also a culture, and I think the players are bought in. And me as a fan, I'm bought in. I love Fran Brown. I was watching his press conference after the Pitt game, and we see every single week press conferences of coaches after they lose.
Yeah, during the hiring process when SU Athletic Director John Wildhack was asked about, why did he end up deciding to, relieve Dino Babers as his duty of head coach, he cited one of the things was his record in November. Syracuse football the last few years, you were inside, the top 15, top 20 multiple times, 6-0, 5-0. Really a chance to kind of make some noise nationally. Was it injuries? Was it a play? Was it this? Was it that? It doesn't matter what it was. You fell apart, and now this is an opportunity for a new head coach to say, no, that's not happening anymore. It's the next man up mentality. We have the depth. We have the talent. We have the playmakers. And frankly, you have the schedule. It's not like we have to go play at Clemson, go play at Miami. Yeah, Cal's a tough travel game, but, it's not really – it's not the hardest game on schedule per se. This is an opportunity for Syracuse to say, no, we're making the switch, we're making it now. But let's get into this and let's talk about Virginia Tech. Again, a team who kind of struggled early in the year, but they're 3-1 in conference play and looking as good as ever.
Yeah, so they struggled in the beginning of the season, but they're hot right now. They've won 3 games in a row. They have all the confidence in the world, and they've won 3 in a row, but also they could, with this win, they could clinch a second straight bowl game. And, they kind of smell blood in the water, I guess you could say. Like, they know the Syracuse team.
Sharks are circling. The Sharks are circling.
They know the Syracuse team just got dominated by Pitt, and there's this team, they could be thinking this team's lost their confidence here. They know the history also. Here's another late season collapse by Syracuse. So it's going to be a tough task for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, because
for Syracuse,
in that 2022 season, we went to Virginia Tech. I think it was a Thursday night game, and we just got absolutely walked over. And it was just kind of like, all right, well, season's over. Like, we're done. Okay. On to basketball. But no, I don't want to go on to basketball. I want to watch this team, and a lot of it is because of Fran Brown and Kyle McCord. And Kyle McCord has an opportunity to bounce back against the top 3 defense in the ACC.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging for him. What I'm really looking for, what I really want McCord to do is just play like he's been playing the whole season. They played on Thursday against Pitt. Now they're playing on Saturday. That's 10 days that he hasn't played. Obviously, he's been in practice, but that's 10 days of, media talking about him. He obviously had the worst game of his career, one of the worst games for a Syracuse quarterback probably ever. And we had high hopes for that game, and they fell flat. So I want to make sure that he has the confidence to come out and play his ball, because we know when he plays Kyle McCord football, the Orange are in good hands.
And it didn't seem like he was too shook up. It seemed like he did a great job of taking accountability for what happened at Pitt. And then he mentioned he was at Fran Brenn's house over the weekend. He spent there. He was talking to him. And I think that's what a lot of players love about Coach Brown is he's there for you outside of football, which I think is very special. And I think that's one of the things that really, separates him and the recruiting trail, really. But this Virginia Tech team, how's Kyle McCord going to get the ball out when they have such an elite pass rush led by Antoine Powell-Ryland, who's second in the nation with 11 sacks already on the year? They haven't even played 11 games yet.
Yeah, we were talking about him before the show started. He is one of the most impressive players in college football. And this defense in total, he has 11 sacks, but this defense, they have 26 as a team. And while I was, looking this up, I saw that they have a top 20 stop rate percentage. And if you don't know what that means, that's the percentage of defensive drives that ends in punts, turnovers, or turnover on downs. So that is a really, really strong defense that we are going up against. It's hard to score on them. It's hard to, even gain any yardage against this team.
I think one of the hard things is from a coaching aspect, if you're Fran Brown, and I'm curious what you guys would do, and let me know in the comments, if you have such a good pass rush, typically you need the running back to stay and block. You need that extra blocker if you want to get the pass game going. But if LeQuint's blocking most of the game and kind of slipping out, maybe a late slip out, pops out, gets a first down, maybe we don't get a running game going. What's more important to you, really getting an identity of running the football for the rest of the season, or giving Kyle McCord that confidence again? If you could only pick one of those two, which one are you picking for this game against Virginia Tech?
I would have to go with the confidence, because like I said in the first segment, the team only goes as far as McCord goes. So we can't have his confidence shot the rest of the season, because if that's the case, then we can kiss the season goodbye and move on to basketball. But obviously, we don't want that. I will say, though, McCord, he threw 64 passes, I think, against Pitt, and a lot of that, they're down early. They have to throw the ball a lot. The run game's not going. And I know we love the high yardage, the high scoring, all this stuff by McCord, but we have to make sure that, he can't be throwing 50 passes every single week. We need to get the run game going, but also we need McCord to get back to his usual style of play.
I agree, and, let's take a look at the Virginia Tech offense. You have a great dual threat quarterback in Kyron Drones, who's been phenomenal. And again, this Virginia Tech team might have beat Miami. He might have caught it. We don't know. So this Virginia Tech team's good, and they have a balanced offensive attack, and they average, just under 200 passing yards, but they also average about 180 rush yards per game. So how do you stop that attack if you're the Syracuse defense? Yeah.
So this quarterback Drones, he against Georgia Tech, he was responsible for 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He threw a touchdown, he rushed for a touchdown, and he actually caught a touchdown.
I think that's like its own version of a sports equinox, right?
Yeah,
there.
That's kind of like, I think Christian McCaffrey actually did that in a game one time on Thursday Night Football.
Come back for fantasy, please.
Yeah. But either way, so he's obviously impressive, and he's a dual threat. So I think that the defense needs to look out for that. That's definitely going to be part of their game plan, especially if their star running back Bashul Tudin can't go. He's a little wobbled up. The last update I saw is that he is probable to go. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't go, he's the focal point of their offense. And if he can't go, then they have their backup running back Malachi Thomas, who's going to be the lead ball carrier. But he's been pretty quiet this season. He only has 28 rushes for 87 yards. Okay. So either way, Kyron Drones is going to be a big factor in this Virginia Tech offense, and it's going to come down to the Orange defensive backs and linebackers to be able to tackle. Yeah,
I agree. I think it comes down to the D-line a little bit too. You got to have rush lane integrity too.
Yeah.
You can't break rush lane integrity or he's just going to run all over us. And I agree too, it's on these linebackers. And I think they did a great job against UNLV. Haj Malik Williams had a great game, but he didn't kill us with his legs. He did not ruin the game with his legs. And now you add back Marlo Wax.
Yes.
One of the leading tacklers in the nation, one of the best linebackers in the nation, to be quite frank. I know he's a little undersized, but his IQ, his toughness, his ability to finish tackles is great. You don't have your running back good to go. The option game's not there as much. It might force him to pass a little bit. And then you're right, it is on the back half of this defense, like Justin Barron, Bellamy, create some turnovers.
Justin Barron, yes.
Maybe give Kyle McCord another set of downs. I think that's what we need. Maybe win the turnover battle. I think if we win the turnover battle, I think we win this game, because that's something that this defense has been struggling to produce compared to former Syracuse defenses. I think you win the turnover battle, you got a great chance at winning this game.
Yeah, and this defense, we know that Fran Brown is a defensive guy.
Yeah, he's a DB coach.
Yeah, he's a DB coach. And, you mentioned some of the dogs that we have on this team, Marlo Wax.
Yeah.
And if we're being honest, this is basically his really first game back. Because, he played against Pitt, but we're not counting that game. We're dropping the film on that. We're moving on. So he's upset. He doesn't want his first game to be like that. Justin Barron's been unbelievable this year. Deuce Chestnut's been really good. And those guys, they're going to play angry. You don't think in practice Fran Brown's upset?
No, I think
he's telling these guys, we got to come out here Saturday against Virginia Tech, and we just need to dominate them from the start. And he's telling them, like you said, we dominate from the start. That's going to help the offense. The offense is going to, be flowing really well, and then that's the recipe for success for this team.
All right. Kickoff. It's 11:59 a.m. Saturday. You have to pick Virginia Tech, Syracuse. Who you got winning and why?
I got Syracuse. I think this is a different Syracuse team and different culture. If the exact situation had happened last year, I would choose Virginia Tech, because I don't think the Syracuse team would be able to bounce back. But I think that with the roster that we have, the playmakers on both sides of the ball, a new head coach that is going to ignite a flame, an angry flame under this Syracuse team, I think all of that. Also, the Virginia Tech offense is a little bit banged up. The defense is something to be concerned about for Virginia Tech, but I think that Syracuse is going to get it done.
To every single fan, I implore you, give this coaching staff, give this culture the benefit of the doubt, pack the dome, get loud, show some faith, be there. I think Syracuse gets it done Saturday, and I think this Fran Brown culture really starts to embed itself in this program. And after this break, we're going to be talking about another culture shift. Year 2 of the Adrian Autry era is coming up. A lot of new faces, a lot of potential, a lot of scheduling issues too. We'll be back right after this.
This is Orange Nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt and Manlius. Vibe is different for sure. We have more playmakers, but can't seem to get over the hump. Yeah, but it's been 7 games. You still got half a season left, so you can't really say you haven't gotten over the hump yet. You got to give it more time. I know it's a hard thing to do as a fan. You want that Indiana Kurt Kingetti when you go 8-0 automatically, but it's not always going to happen. Those are games we are supposed to win. Yeah, I'd say we're supposed to beat BC and UConn, but Cal's good. I mean, they should have beat Miami. They just demolished Oregon State. I mean, they're a good team. They've lost, I think, their 3 games by like a combined 9 points. So, that's a team, too, you could argue that's not getting over the hump right now. So I think that'll be an interesting matchup. I think Syracuse, 1-0 in the West Coast time zone. Let's make it 2-0.
Maybe I'm delusional, but Miami has looked really beatable. And obviously they're one of the best teams in the country, but the Virginia Tech almost beat them.
I think Cam Ward just was like, all right, I'm on national TV. I'm going to go down 31-10 and just run around.
That was unbelievable.
That's my team now in NCAA football 25. I just use Cam Ward and run around. It's so funny.
He's going to be top pick in the draft this coming year.
That game was huge. I get it, but we don't win the big game. Listen, 7-5 would be a disappointment. Yeah, I'd say 7-5 would be a disappointment with this schedule. I completely agree with you, but we're not 7-5. We're 5-2, and
5-2, and then let's 5-2.
Yeah, we did lose all the apple picking fans, but you want to know what? I believe in the CNY community, Matt and Manlius. I believe in my CNY community. I was actually in Manlius this morning, so I was at my PT place, getting a workout in. So. Beautiful town there. You got some great golf courses. The foliage is just...
Yeah, I got to do a little bit more traveling, visiting this area. I kind of only stay on campus.
I mean, you go south, you got some beautiful foliage. Pompey, Manlius area, you got some great mountain ranges. People might show up for Miami, but we need a complete show-out dome in order to beat Miami. Crowd will be the difference. I agree. I think, the dome is loud, and that's what people really don't understand. Yeah, it's a smaller stadium, but here's the thing. The sound hits the floor, goes up, and then instead of dissipating, it hits a dome and then goes back in. I agree that we could give Miami some issues, and that's two really high-scoring offenses right there. Xavier Restrepo has been brilliant. Cam Ward's been brilliant, but as much as we can look towards Miami, I'm just focused on Virginia Tech right now, and I think that's this team's mentality too.
I think we need to make sure, before we talk about Miami, people showing up for that game, we need to make sure people show up for Virginia Tech.
Noon on the CW network, really. Noon on the CW network. It's ridiculous.
So everyone should, instead of watching the game on the CW network, come to the game.
Just come to the game.
It's better to watch live than on the CW.
Network. Are you kidding me?
Honestly, they have too much.
Let's look at the ACC schedule for this week.
Okay. A lot of sports on the
Stanford,
CW network.
NC State on the ACC network instead of us. We beat NC State. Yeah, we lost to Stanford. It's a better matchup. North Carolina at Florida State. Florida State can't make a bowl game. I'm sorry.
Why is that? Florida State should always be on the CW.
What'd you say?
Florida State should every week be on the CW.
Florida State.
I don't know what.
Florida State can give up on their season.
they can move on to basketball. They can move on to basketball.
CW network is what happens to Cuse when we lose that big game. Yeah, I get it. We got blown out.
Florida State is terrible.
But Florida State, they're terrible. Are they expecting them to just fire Norvell on the middle of the game?
I'm waiting for that. Yeah. That's like that NFL player retired in the middle of the game.
Yeah. Antonio Brown. Oh, the Bills guy.
The Bills guy.
Yeah, the Bills guy.
What's his name?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We don't get any respect, and when we don't win the big game, it's more of the same. I mean,
it's true, but this is a chance to change that. If we come out and we demolish, just absolutely obliterate Virginia Tech.
My water bottle right here is not all the way full, so it's either half full or half empty. I believe that Fran Brown would see this as half full.
And Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and QSportsTalk.com. This hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. I'm James Wildhack here with Ellie Gelman, and obviously the gridiron's important right now, but you want to know what's the staples of a Syracuse winter? Black ice, snow, and Syracuse basketball. The house that Jim Boeheim built. This is the second year of Adrian Autry at the helm. And after that exhibition game, I'm really excited for this team. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was, but even before the exhibition game, I was doing a little, looking at the roster and following along. Obviously, a major busy offseason that we're going to talk about right now. But I'm really excited. I'm a big basketball guy. That's my number one sport. And this is the first year that I've really, last year was a good start for Coach Autry. But this is the first year that I'm really, the big question is, can SU get back to the NCAA tournament? And I think this is the year that we could do it. I can't wait for the season to start.
Yeah, I think we can too. And I think it comes down to what Adrian Autry has done this offseason, whether it's been high school or through the transfer portal. This roster's pretty loaded. And I think, 9th or 11th in the AP poll or the preseason poll for the ACC is disrespectful. Yeah. I'm sorry. There's too much talent on this roster. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, also I think that we're going to go through kind of the returners, the transfers, the recruits, but I think when adding these new players to the roster, I think Coach Autry did a good job of finding out, we lost Judah Mintz, Copeland, and Malik Brown, who are arguably from last season our best three players.
I'd take Bell over Copeland.
All right, well, Judah Mintz definitely, obviously, he's number one, and Malik Brown, he stuffs the staff sheet in the stat sheet, excuse me,
he was a
in
dog.
Every single aspect of the game, and I think that Coach Autry saw what worked well and what didn't work well, what was lacking, and got players to replicate what worked well, and then added some players for stuff that we didn't have this past year.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think one of the concerns that this team had last year, I think two of them, and they were addressed in the transfer portal. I think the biggest one was having a true point guard. Judah Mintz and J.J. Starling were great players, but I think it was hard because you kind of needed to set them up, if that makes sense. They both either needed to create for themselves or, J.J. Starling wanted to go around the three-point line, get open, hit threes. Judo needed open lanes to cut, backdoor, stuff like that. And you need someone to get them the ball, but we were so reliant on them having it, they couldn't never not have the ball. And I think you fixed that problem with Juan Carlos from Hofstra, 10 points a game, 6 assists a game. He looked absolutely phenomenal in the exhibition game. I mean, we haven't really had a true point guard like that in a while. And what I mean true point guard is, I think, someone who's more pass first.
Yeah, I think that was a big issue last year, like you mentioned. I can't remember the amount of possessions that were wasted.
It was Judo ball.
Where it was Judo ball. He dribbled the clock out. He was unbelievable. It worked a lot for him, but Carlos is going to be, exactly like you said, 6 assists a game. He's going to be looking to set up the playmakers and the shooters that we have on this team, and we have a lot of nice offensive pieces. We have J.J. Starling, Chris Bell, Chance Westry, who didn't play at all last year.
I'm excited to see Chance Westry.
I'm so excited. I was looking him up today. I didn't realize he is considered a point guard, and he is 6'6".
Yeah, he's
that
good.
is unbelievable. So if he's healthy, and he was I think he was a top 40 recruit coming out of high school. He obviously started in Auburn and then transferred here. So yeah, we have a lot of great returners coming in, and then the transfers, Carlos, and obviously the big guy inside, Eddie Lampkin, is going to be exciting to watch.
I'm really excited to watch Eddie Lampkin. I mean, he showed up on the biggest stage too when they played Florida. He was an absolute force that game. And he's a big man that Syracuse hasn't had really ever, because I'd say a long time, because you haven't had a force like that maybe since like Rakeem Christmas or Dajuan Coleman back in the day. But he can also shoot, and he can also pass too, which makes this offense even more versatile.
Yeah, I feel like last year the offense was basically just Judah Mintz and J.J. Starling, even though he struggled. But now looking at this roster, we have J.J. Starling. Chris Bell is a fantastic shooter. Last year he had 84 three-pointers on 42% shooting, which is unbelievable. Chance Westry, who knows how what he's going to do this year. And then you look at the transfers. Eddie Lampkin, he is he's an he's an offensive center. Malik Brown, he scored, but we weren't giving him the ball back to the basket. Eddie Lampkin can shoot a little bit from the mid-range. He could, be inside, getting dirty in there. And then you have Jair Davis from Delaware, who averaged 16 points last year, transferred. So there's a lot of great offensive pieces here.
And Lucas Taylor, 14 points a game
definitely.
at Georgia State. And you want to we haven't even gotten to yet?
Yes, this is what I'm really excited about.
The number 6 overall player in the entire high school class, the highest rated recruit since Carmelo Anthony to step on this campus, averaged 16 points a game and 8 rebounds in Nike's high school basketball league, played the best competition in the country as a high schooler, and absolutely dominated them. Donnie Freeman is an absolute beast, and I can't wait to see him take the court.
Like I said, I'm a basketball guy. Every, professional, NBA, college, but even probably more than college, I'm big into high school basketball.
I love high school basketball.
So even before Donnie Freeman was committed to Syracuse, this guy was on my radar, and I knew that he was the real deal. He's McDonald's All-American, one of the top power forwards, top recruits in the country. And you said, like you mentioned, the exhibition game was really exciting. He showed out in the exhibition game. 20 points on very efficient shooting, 7 for 13, had a monster steal and dunk. And, I actually was looking at a mock draft. He's projected to go 20th to the Rockets. Yeah, shout out Houston, hometown Rockets. I would love that if he came to the Rockets. That'd be nice.
That would be really cool.
That would be nice. But he's going to be unbelievable. I think he's going to be a major factor for this team.
I think he's probably going to be the best just pure athlete with size, wingspan, frame since Jeremy Grant, who was an absolute freak at Syracuse.
Yes.
And then he can shoot the ball. He can shoot the ball.
In high school, obviously he could shoot the ball, but a lot of these guys, they could do everything in high school. When they come to college and they have to, dial it down a little bit. But no, he really looks like he could do it all. He's, a stretch 4. They're not going to really do this because they have Lampkin and some other bigs, but a small 5 if that's what they need to do. He's versatile. He just gets me. It's him and the other recruits that they have, Elijah Moore and Peter. I'm not sure you pronounce this, Masterovich. These guys,
try it.
The recruits are looking really good. The whole team looking great. I can't tell you how many times I'm excited.
I had the opportunity for one of my other classes to interview Noah Lobdell. He's a freshman walk-on for the basketball team, and I was kind of curious. I was like, is Donnie really is he really? Because the McDonald's All-American game, he didn't go crazy. I mean, he had a few off games in high school, and he told me two things. He said, you know that video of Wembanyama missing the three and then just crashing the lane, grabbing the ball and just dunking it?
Yeah.
He's done that 3 times now in practice. So I'm super excited for that. And then I like the fact that, he's a McDonald's All-American. He's such a highly touted recruit, but he's not extremely ball dominant. He wasn't feed me the ball in high school. I need 100 points a game, stuff like that. I mean, he understands the bigger picture, which I really like. And it just seems like all he wants to do is just work.
Yeah, also he went to IMG, and that obviously is one of the best high schools in the country for really all sports, but specifically basketball. There's a lot of great NBA players that have come out from IMG. So I think he's already kind of been in a system of getting ready to be a professional, getting ready to be a high-level college athlete, college basketball player. So I think he's ready for the big stage. And I like that he came to Syracuse. Obviously they recruited him well enough for him to come here. But you don't see, like you said, we don't see a lot of high, recruits coming. And I think he decided to come to Syracuse to prove himself and, be part of a great team.
Well, he's gonna play someone he played against in high school in the Dome as his Montverde foe, Cooper Flagg, who plays for Duke now. We'll be visiting. When we come back from this break, we're gonna take a look at that Duke matchup and preview the rest of the schedule, what we like, what we don't like. And there's about a 10-game stretch where Syracuse is really – we're going to figure out if this team's legit. We'll be back right after this.
Saturday, the Orange return.
Let's just stay basketball. Let's just do basketball. Let's see. Matt and Manlius. Matt. Playing a 5-0, 6-0 cupcake and then fading in November when it really matters is our narrative nationally. Yeah, yes. I'd agree that is our narrative nationally. I want to change it, Matt. I want to change it. I want Fran Brown to change it, and I think Fran Brown is going to change it. Yeah, and you want it? The reality is we showed up on ESPN, we sucked. That was not good. But I don't think there was really any blame. This team said, yeah, we sucked. That was the worst. Our starting quarterback said that was the worst game of football I ever played in my life. So here's what's going to happen is he's either just going to crumble mentally after that, or he's going to say, okay, never happening again. I'm going to get my get back. It's one of two things I really think is going to happen. And I'm scared. I'm terrified. I put way too much of my emotional stability into Syracuse football. I shouldn't be doing this.
I did see an interview with McCord that said that the way to bounce back after a game like this is just being extremely critical of the film, of how you played. And like I mentioned, he said this was the worst game that he's played. I think also for him, it's even more pressure because he knows he's not just being watched by fans, but he is being scouted. Yeah. And you don't think this affects his draft stock, throwing 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes? It definitely does. It's hard to focus on. I mean,
the first thing he's going to do when he walks into a meeting with an NFL team is they will pull up the Pittsburgh film. Yeah. They're going to be like, what happened here, what happened here, what happened here, what happened here, and what happened here.
Yeah, I really like him.
We need to win Saturday, or 7-5 is most likely. Let's take a look at that schedule. I'm curious if I agree with you.
So let's say we lose against Virginia Tech, then we go down to 5-3. We have 4 more games: Boston College, Cal, UConn, and number 6 Miami.
So are you saying that we lose to Cal then? Is that the consensus there? Because then 5-3, BBC 6-3, lose to Cal. Or wait, no, we have 2 losses, so we'd be 5-3, 6-3.
6-4,
6-4,
7-4, 7-5.
So then we lose to Cal, I guess is what you're saying. We're either going to drop Cal or BC.
Yeah, I think that Actually, I don't know. I was going to say, I think that it's more likely we lose to BC than Cal, but Cal's looked good, and they gave Miami a run for their money.
Is Castellanos back, though, for BC? Because I know he was battling some injuries, and they're on a 3-game losing streak right now after a really hot start.
Yeah, they looked really good in the beginning of the year.
They gave Missouri a run for their money, but apparently Missouri's not that good. It's crazy how,
this is a special year in college football.
Yeah,
where we don't know who the good teams are.
I still don't know who the number 1 team in the country is. I have no idea.
Let's see.
I don't know. It should be Georgia or Texas or Ohio State. We haven't put together. I agree with that. We have not put together a complete game, and we haven't put together a complete game, and we're 5-2. Wow. So let's get there. Let's just get there. That's all we have to do. Is just get there. Thank you. Oh, Era's night. Let's go. I mean, you say we haven't put together a complete game. We've beat 2 teams who are ranked in the AP top 25. So, I mean,
yeah, UNLV was a complete game, I think.
I mean, it's hard because you go up like 21-0, and then you just drop the ball. But then you're like, it was like we won, we lost, we won, we lost.
But I think that's part of it. It's not just about winning. It's about
that's football, though. That's football. That's
also good teams win ugly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Still don't know the number 1 team. Complete all phases of the game. I agree. Special teams, we did not complete that. I agree.
Fine. Yeah, okay, that's true. The special team has been atrocious.
And we've still managed to win. So I agree with you. The talent is there.
They need to start recruiting some kickers.
I'll kick.
Sportstalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back into Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN 97.7 and on Twitch at QSportsTalk.com. Before the break, we were previewing basketball this year, and there's a lot to be excited about. And there's a lot to be excited about with the new college athletics landscape in the ACC. And this is going to give Syracuse an opportunity to play some opponents we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, they're going to be, traveling to California to play against Stanford and Cal late in the season. They're going to be playing SMU. Maryland. Some of these are out of conference, but they have a nice schedule here. A mixture of I think teams that we could easily win, like games that shouldn't be too difficult, and then a stretch of games that is going to be really taxing on this team.
Yeah. And that's ACC play, and I want to take us back to non-conference play because we got some pretty good matchups in the non-conference play. That's highlighted by 4 games. Playing Texas in MSG. We're at Tennessee for the ACC SEC Challenge, a team we faced in Maui last year. And I was at that game, and they were chanting, "Let's go Orange." So they think they're the real Orange. And then you also have Maryland and Georgetown. Georgetown, you have the history there. And, Maryland's a good team from the Big Ten who competes every year.
Yeah, I think Texas and Tennessee to start the season is a little brutal.
Do you like it though?
So I was gonna say, I think when games like this, it doesn't come down to win and to win or lose. Obviously we want the Orange, we want Syracuse to beat Tennessee and Texas, but it's about how you come out. Like you said, Texas is prime time, ESPN, 7 o'clock in SMG. You know how much that's a lot of pressure. So I think that a win for the culture and for this team is to come out and be competitive against Texas and be competitive against Tennessee in that SEC ACC challenge. So those 2 games, and obviously if we could win one of those, then that would give our team, our coaching staff, all the confidence in the world for the rest of the season.
You have the quad 1 victory already. We don't have to be chasing the quad 1 victory for the last 7 games of the season.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. It's crazy to say, but these 2 games could make or break if we make the tournament. Months later. There's still a lot of games left, but these 2 are very important. They're really important.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you look at this Texas game, too. I think one of the things that Syracuse fans for basketball do great is make their way to the Garden. Every Syracuse basketball fan wants to watch Syracuse basketball play in MSG because when we played in the Big East tournament there, it was one of the best experiences ever. And we played UConn there in 2018. I went to that game, and oh my gosh, it was like a civil war. It was cut down the middle, half Huskies, half Syracuse. Two of like the most invested and engaged fan bases in a game I've ever seen. And I think that's going to basically be a home game for Syracuse, and I think that's a great opportunity. And then Tennessee, they're not as good preseason as they were last year, not ranked as high, but also let's see what Adrian Autry has learned from year 1 to year 2. You're facing the same coach. You're at their place this time. Let's see what you learned from that, first encounter with him, and, how do you change based on your personnel?
Yeah, also I'll say about both. I'll say about Tennessee that they've lost some of their key pieces. Obviously Dalton Knecht now in the Lakers has had a strong start to his rookie year.
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. All right, that's
rookie of the year.
Prediction, strong prediction. But I'll say for Texas, I didn't realize this game was in MSG, so I'm gonna have to try to go.
Yeah,
and I'm a little bit conflicted because
do we have the budget to do a show there? Is that in the calling cards?
Yeah, we need to try to do that. But even if we do a show, I'll be conflicted because obviously big SU fan.
You're not.
But
I'm
from Houston. I'm from Texas. I have to, horns up. I have to root the hometown Longhorns.
No.
But either way, these games are going to be this early start for Syracuse is going to make or break the season.
Yep. And now let's take a look at ACC play because we were talking pre-show. You have an absolute gauntlet in there, Ellie.
Yeah. So I was looking at the schedule, and they have from January 29th to February 18th is a range of 1, 2, 3, 7 games that it's a really difficult stretch. So you start off January 29th at Stanford, and then you play a back-to-back February 1st at California. So 2 games West Coast. You have to travel to California and play 2 games back-to-back. And then you have to come back home on Wednesday, February 5th to play what is arguably the best team in the country with what I've seen. Have you seen Duke play?
Yeah.
Their exhibition games. They've been unbelievable. Their roster is so good, such a good mixture of transfers, of veterans, and like unbelievable freshmen.
Yep.
Cooper Flagg, ESPN just ranked Cooper Flagg the #1 college basketball player.
I think the thing with Cooper Flagg is like he has the talent. His motor's insane.
Yeah,
He's the best motor I've ever seen.
He gets it done. So after 2 games in California, you got to come home to play against Duke, which is going to be hard, and then Boston College, and then Miami, who isn't ranked, but they're a good team. And you were talking about them before we started also, about they had some good recruits, Jaleel
Beta.
Jaleel Beta, yes, thank you. And then, again, it just goes on and on. Then February 15th, 4 days later, you have to play against North Carolina, which we know what happened last year. That was unbelievable. Make sure that we pack the dome for that game also. But you don't think North Carolina is going to be pissed off? They're going to want vengeance coming back into our hometown and defeating us after we upset them last year. And then
RJ Davis will be playing in the dome for the 12th time in his college career.
That's a lot. That's an interesting stat. But yeah, they're reloaded. North Carolina. Ian Jackson is he also in the exhibition game. I don't know if you saw that.
That poster
almost,
he tried. Yeah,
disgusting. Almost dunked on that poor defender.
I think their most underrated player is Seth Tremby. He's a dog. I think he had 31.
I was going to say
he had 31.
Yeah, he had a big scoring outburst in one of their exhibition games.
Because that was the one thing with them last year is RJ Davis was really the only guy who could score on that team.
Yeah, and they still have Elliot Cadeau, who I really like. He also last year was a freshman, but he was still supposed to be a senior.
Yeah,
he
came in a year early.
Yeah, he came in a year early, so he's going to be improved. He couldn't really shoot last year. So North Carolina obviously is going to be one of the best teams in the country. And then Pittsburgh, then they play Pittsburgh again on February 18th. So those 7 games is a really difficult stretch, especially late in the season where we're probably going to be fighting for positioning in the ACC and for a March Madness bid.
I agree with that, and I look at this team we're going to be fighting. Who do you think the MVP for this team is going to be? Who do you think our most valuable player is right now?
Yeah, I think you could obviously choose J.J. Starling because he's kind of the offensive centerpiece for us.
Yep.
But I'm going to go Jaquan Carlos.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to set the tone and the culture on the court. You know, he's the point guard, the past first player, and he's going to be able to get everyone involved. And he's a veteran. He's also going to be the leader on the court, and we have a lot of unexperienced players that are going to be playing for us this year. So I think he's going to be the MVP. He's going to be passing. He could do a little bit of scoring, and he's going to be able to set up everyone and set up the team for success. So yeah, I have him as my MVP.
I think it's Chris Bell because, I mean, one of the issues last year with him was attitude at times, and I think if he buys into a culture and a mindset, and, you know, maybe it's, okay, I'm not going to get as many touches as last year, but I'm going to have better numbers and better stats. I think if he accepts that and buys in, I think, you know, he could really be a game changer. And he's an NBA player just based off his shooting ability alone.
Wow.
It looked like he improved his ball handling. Do you think Syracuse makes the tournament?
I do. I think they have a strong year. 20-plus wins again, maybe 22 wins. I think that they're going to get some high-level wins in this gauntlet of a schedule. Maybe not against Duke and North Carolina, but I think they make the tournament for the first time since 2021.
I agree with you. I don't know where the regionals are, but I think we're going to be doing a show there too. This has been Newhouse Afternoon at 2 o'clock. I'm here with Ellie Gelman. Same time tomorrow. Won't be us, but we'll have a crew here to make sure that you get everything you need to have a great weekend.
This is Orange Nation.
The fan interference.